Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Urban Legends video. Alright, another entry here based on one of your newer suggestions. This one following the same theme involving someplace associated with the devil, or in this case closer to hell, which leads to the devil himself. So I just talked about that the other day about the devil's tramping ground. Well, this one has to do with another location here in the United States that if you reportedly go there and you follow through certain steps, then you'll actually get to the direct level of hell, I guess, where the devil is located. Not really sure why anybody would want to do that if this is like truly something that's true, but if somebody still wants to do it, I'll provide all the information below, although it's be a little wary because it seems like the property I'm about to describe is private, so it's not something necessarily public, so always put that caveat out there for you. And it has to do with this, that it has a very arresting moniker yet again. It's called the Seven Gates of Hell. So how interesting is that? Anytime you hear something like that, immediately you want to learn about more information related to it. And so here it is. Here's all the info I can provide with this urban legends. So what is the Seven Gates of Hell, or what are they essentially? Well, if you believe this urban legend, it has to do with a town located in York, Pennsylvania, specifically a wooded area called Hellam Township. And if you go there and you go to a very specific spot, I couldn't find the exact location, but I'm sure if someone, brings up GPS somewhere, they'll be able to narrow it down to one specific spot. But if you go there and you turn on a very particular road, then the first gate that you'll get to will be your starting point when it comes to the seven gates of hell. There's a total of seven of them, but only five have apparently been found, and then the other two still out there somewhere, still mysterious. Again, why anybody would want to find the last two is difficult to be determined, but if you do so, then you'll go straight to hell itself. But in the meantime, by the time you get to the fifth one, you're supposed to go so crazy that you're not even going to bother with the other two. Now, the way that this urban legend grew has to do with a lot of information that's pretty hard to substantiate. A lot of this is like there's no location for it found today. There's no real proof of what I'm about to state. It seems like it's just pretty much hearsay info that got passed down throughout who knows how many generations, and then to this day around that area it's just become fact, like it's just evolved into its own true circumstance, even though again there really is no evidence associated with a lot of this stuff. And when you hear it too, you'll realize how true what I'm saying is, because some of this stuff, I mean, it's pretty out there. Like, you would think that there would be newspapers, photographs, other type of hardcore evidence of this urban legend, but no, to this day nothing really seems to be there, just more along the lines of speculation. But here's how it goes. Sometime in the 1800s, again there in York, Pennsylvania, specifically in Hellam Township, there was an asylum that was existing there, a mental asylum. It was considered a large one, a colossal one in fact, and it was isolated within the woods right off of a very particular road. It was called Toad Road, or in some other places it's called Trout Run Road. So whatever the story goes, I guess it just depends on the version that you're listening to. But either way, this thing towered over the woods, but it was, even at that time, brand new. It was not considered a place to be. In fact, on its own, it was considered a hellish place because of the people that it housed. Like, these were some of the most deranged, some of the most, I guess, I don't know if you call them psychotic, but the ones that were just poor souls that were just completely gone when it came to their mental condition. And they lived there in this asylum because of it. They were contained within hundreds of rooms there. This thing was huge. It housed hundreds of these mental patients that couldn't do anything to control their attitudes or control their actions, so they were just there isolated. And this was good because in this area that was out there in those woods, it was considered very isolated. It was an absolutely perfect place to keep them away, in this case from civilized locations, and then that way both parties can just live in peace, for lack of a better word. But this very same isolation caused its downfall and then led to this urban legend about the seven gates of hell, because this is what happened later. Sometime afterward, again, no known date on when this occurred, but there was a huge fire that occurred within the asylum. I mean, it was just insane. Somewhere along that asylum, something caught fire, and then it just spread throughout the entire place. And so because of its isolation, firefighters within the nearby town were having a big problem getting there. Imagine in the 1800s, transportation the way it was, and then with a very, very remote location, and then no doubt like the water lines not being like they are today. All of those factored into this thing basically burning almost to the ground. There was an extreme amount of death on the upper floors of the building, and because the fire was spreading upwards, and so many people died within those floors, and then the rest, so that could escape or found a way to escape, fled right into the woods. So imagine this scenario. Hundreds of these patients, again, all of them with the most severe mental conditions, just in a place now where they're out in the woods, and then these firefighters have to come along and then try to contain them. It was sheer pandemonium at that point, because the firefighters were having to fight the fire and then at the same time having to deal with these very insane mental patients, trying to corral them, trying to get them in. And of course those mental patients weren't exactly having it. Some of them fought back, the firefighters fought them. It was to the point where then when they were trying to capture the inmates, some of the firefighters knew exactly what they were dealing with, and so they went to above and beyond, I guess you call it, when it came to their capturing. Like, they beat the hell out of some of their patients. Some of them were killed outright. A lot of this again is unsubstantiated because you're dealing with stuff that could have been verified or recorded somewhere, but this is again all just hearsay for the moment. But yes, these firefighters, because of their conditions, weren't able to do the best job possible when it came to capturing these inmates, and some of them within the asylum either remained out there to this very day, or they were captured. Like, who knows? But the whole key thing was, it was just crazy situation, and that's what happened afterward is what led to the seven gates of hell. So after that period, there was a big black mark within the town because of what occurred. Obviously a lot of people had died, and the firefighters, the situation with them wasn't necessarily helping things, so the people that ran that asylum and then the people nearby in the city wanted to put the tragedy behind them. So they decided to change the name of the road, because again, it used to be known apparently as Toad Road, but now it's more along the lines of Trout Run Road, again, if you believe that side of the urban legend. And they tried to dispel as much as they could about the records of the asylum, get rid of all the evidence possible, all the people that lived there, whoever worked there. And that's why, if you believe this side of the urban legend, there are no records of this stuff, because all of that was taken away by the town. When I was reading this, it reminded me a lot of like the Silent Hill movie. There was that prominent scene where whenever the fire occurred within Silent Hill with Alessa, later on the rest of the town throughout the years tried to just bury that information down. That's what it seemed like what was happening here. And then what led further to the seven gateways of hell, number one, of course, this tragic circumstance, all the bad stuff, all the people that were killed, everything there, just a location of evil, I guess, that permeated from somewhere, and whatever this evil was decided to take advantage of the situation, and so they made, whoever they were, essentially made something there, like a portal, whatever is the case. But there was the idea, this is where things turn a little bit strange. The same people that tried to bury all this information decided to construct 7 barriers to the site of the asylum, almost like a jigsaw, I don't know, like a puzzle. And the way it goes is they decided to create these 7 barriers to prevent anybody from finding out about the true location of the asylum, the conditions of the asylum, basically all the backstory of what occurred with this tragic fire. each one of those gates is more hidden than the other one. The only one you can truly find up front apparently is just one single gate. That's the easy one. Anybody that's considered an adventure seeker can go to that location and then find this physical gate, but then that's it. It kind of makes it a little convenient because you and I, you can find any gate anywhere. Like if you go to any part of town, anywhere US, and there's any entrance to like let's say a farm or whatever is the case, you will always find the gate somewhere there. So it kind of makes it convenient that in this case you would find this gate as well. But that's the way the urban legend goes. But the other ones, all the other 6, are buried somewhere. They're hidden somewhere. In fact, the way I was reading the information, it seems like some of these gates can only be found at night. That's a little eccentric. Like, I don't know why the York officials or the people that were handling this thing decided to make it so mystical, is probably the best word to describe it. Like, they decided to make it so that you can only see one during the daytime, but then the rest of them you can see them at night. How that's happening, I have no idea. Like, is it magic? Is it something else? Who knows? But each one is more and more harder to find than the other one. You can find the next one, and when you do so, then you'll have to find the other one from it. And then by the time again you get to the 5th one, the idea is that this evil that was there, that took advantage of the situation, also took advantage of the 7 gateways. And so somewhere along the way it created a direct link from, instead of going to find the asylum, you go straight to hell by the time you reach the 7th gateway. It's kind of weird, but it kind of makes sense at the same time. So again, if you go to the 5th one, by the time you reach that 5th barrier, this evil that made its spot there is so bad. Like, there's a feeling of so much like over empowerment, something that's there that knows that it's evil, and it's just creating this great sense of dread, like this feeling of death, that again by the time you get to that 5th barrier, you're not even bothering going along any further, because by that point you are going backwards. You do not want to go any more further at all. And that if you believe that part and you still want to go beyond that and find the 6th and the 7th, then good luck, because by the time you find the 7th, then you actually just opened a portal to hell and you are there, straight in that location. But yes, that's really all the info tied to the 7 gates of hell. Kind of interesting when you read about it. We did read a lot like the movie Silent Hill, where you had something that took advantage, in this case, of Alessa's burning, and then decided to create a hell within that location. And here you have, in this case, a fire that occurred, claimed the lives of all these poor souls, created so much pandemonium, so much tragedy, that this evil decided to take advantage of it, created a spot there, and then the same people that wanted to hide this circumstance, this past tragedy, also inadvertently created a path to that evil, because the evil decided to link hell to it. So pretty interesting stuff. Again, this place, I'm sure you could find it on GPS somewhere. It's not advised to go because it's not public. It's not a location you can just walk up to. Apparently if you do so, the people that live there or that own that land know, I guess, of their reputation that this location has. They will prosecute, like they will actually find anybody that, or try to find anybody that trespasses on their property, and then when that happens, then you'll be in trouble, either by the law or by something else. So you don't want to risk that as well. So, but if you're going to, absolutely, or if you know anybody that has, and you have any experience, or if you know somebody that has experience, then post those comments below. That'd be interesting to see if anybody knows more information about these 7 gates of hell. But again, that's it. That's all the info I could find. Not much concrete evidence, nothing in the newspapers. After reading all this info and hearing it, it makes you wonder, like, where's the info on the asylum, right? Like, where's the info on the fire, the hundreds of patients, a lot of them dying? Where's all this stuff? But again, if you believe that part where the people from the town decided to get rid of all the evidence and do a pretty good job at it, then that's why that question is answered in and of itself. But if anybody has any more info that I missed, please post those comments below. That would be great to hear. Right, everybody, thanks again as always. Take care.